Across the vast sweep of human history, few questions have haunted us more deeply than this. What happens when we die, and who decides what we deserve? From the banks of the Nile to the shores of the Styx, from the threads spun by the Norns to the endless wheel of karma, cultures across the world have envisioned the soul's passage beyond death as a journey not into the unknown, but into judgment. Yet beneath the images of scales, scribes, ferrymen, and fates lies a deeper tension. By what measure is a life truly weighed? Is it by truth, by deeds, by destiny, or by the hidden balance of all things? Though their symbols and names differ, civilizations have returned again and again to a strikingly similar structure, a triad of guiding forces. These guardians, judges, and enforcers are not merely mythic figures. Together they form a living process through which human action is gathered, assessed, and reconciled with cosmic order. They do not stand alone, each depends on the other, their roles entwined into a single, interdependent mechanism that ensures death is never mere cessation, it is a reckoning. The Egyptians saw the heart weighed against truth itself. The Greeks divided souls into final destinations. The Norse yielded to the threads of fate, binding gods and mortals alike. The Hindus traced every action to karma, linking death not to an end but to an endless cycle. Each triad reflects a distinct answer to the same question: how is the worth of a soul revealed? In studying these systems side by side, we glimpse not only the variety of human belief, but also a common insight, that life is not untethered from consequence. What follows is an exploration of these four triads: Egyptian, Greek, Norse, and Hindu, each a unique scale upon which the human soul is weighed. Together they challenge us to ask not merely what happens after death, but how we are measured and what it means to bear the weight of our lives. In the Egyptian conception of the afterlife, the very foundation of cosmic reality is Ma'at, often understood as truth, justice, and harmony. This principle underpins the entire process of the weighing of the heart, in which a soul's moral worth is tested. The three figures, Anubis, Osiris, and Thoth, are inseparable facets of one system designed to ensure that the verdict of a soul's worthiness is both accurate and just. They do not function as detached judges and scribes. Rather, each one takes up a distinct thread of the same tapestry of truth. Anubis begins the process as the guardian of the dead and the guide who escorts the departed before the scales. In Egyptian art, he is often depicted adjusting the scale to ensure fairness, but his guardianship also protects the ceremony itself from any corruption. His presence reminds us that no soul embarks on the journey alone. There is always a guiding hand that leads each person to the point of reckoning. This guidance also symbolizes the inevitability of judgment. No one escapes it, and no one is truly lost if they understand that this journey is part of the cosmic design. Once the scales are properly balanced, Osiris becomes the arbiter. Far from making arbitrary decisions, he serves as a focal point for cosmic justice. In life, Osiris was a great king whose death and resurrection made him the perfect symbol for renewal and balanced rulership. As judge, he evaluates the outcome of the weighing, but that evaluation depends on the integrity of what has come before. Because Anubis has ensured the scales are fair and Thoth has recorded the entire process, Osiris's judgment emerges from verifiable truth rather than whim or divine caprice. Osiris therefore personifies the living soul's aspiration. If one's life has been lived in accordance with Ma'at, then renewal is assured. Finally, Thoth is the scribe and recorder, the embodiment of impartial observation. He stands by with his writing palette, capturing the exact measurement of the heart against the feather. Thoth also invokes the cosmic principle of Ma'at, ensuring the entire system remains incorruptible. He is the mechanism by which truth is enshrined and cannot be contested. In a deeper spiritual sense, Thoth's role suggests that truth itself has a cosmic, almost divine force. Once recorded, it exists beyond human manipulation. Together, Anubis, Osiris, and Thoth exemplify a causal triadic pattern, a system where each figure's action is a necessary condition for the next, creating a chain of inevitability. Anubis's guidance initiates the process. Without him, the soul would never reach the scales. Osiris's judgment is not an act of will but a response to the scales' verdict, making his authority contingent upon the weighing itself. Without Thoth, the result would remain ephemeral, truth seen but unrecorded, subject to forgetting. Thoth seals what has been revealed, transforming the scales' fleeting measurement into an eternal fact. The triad's strength lies in its refusal to locate judgment in the power of any individual figure. Not even Osiris determines the soul's fate. Rather, their unity reveals that the measure of the soul is truth, an objective weight that arises from the soul's alignment or misalignment with Ma'at. This truth precedes the gods and binds them. The scale does not shape reality, it exposes what the soul has already made of itself through life. Once that weight is disclosed, judgment becomes mere recognition and truth becomes finality. The Egyptians teach that to live justly is not to seek divine favor, but to lighten the heart with truth, because in the end, the scales do not lie. Where the Egyptian system centers on the principle of balance, the Greek afterlife focuses on separation and finality. In Greek myth, the afterlife is compartmentalized into distinct realms: the blissful Elysium, the neutral asphodel fields, and the tormented Tartarus. The three figures, Charon the judges, Minos, Rhadamanthus, and Aeacus, and Hermes, cooperate to ensure every soul is categorized and placed with a sense of permanence. It is a system that values the clarity of decision. Once judged, the soul's fate is effectively sealed. Charon, the ferryman, is often portrayed as grim and relentless. He demands a coin for passage across the river Styx, symbolizing that death's journey has its own price. He is not a moral agent. He does not evaluate worthiness. Rather, he merely grants or denies access, introducing an element of transactional reality to the cosmic design. Without the coin, souls wander the banks of the Styx, unable to proceed. This underscores a Greek worldview where the forms and rituals of society, like burial customs, extend into the afterlife, making cultural norms and debts a determining factor even in death. Once across the Styx, the judges, Minos, Rhadamanthus, and Aeacus, formidable men once known for their wisdom, await. Their authority is absolute yet cooperative, as they deliberate on the sum of a soul's actions and character to assign it to one of three final destinations. The virtuous are sent to Elysium, a realm of peace and eternal reward. The wicked are cast into Tartarus, a place of torment and punishment, and the vast majority, those neither heroic nor evil, drift into the asphodel fields, a shadowy, indifferent existence of forgetfulness. Unlike the Egyptian Osiris, who measures a soul against a cosmic feather of truth, these judges do not reveal a universal order, but render a verdict based on the life lived, reducing a complex human story to its ultimate consequence. Though myths differ on the exact criteria for these rulings, the act of sorting, of placing each soul in its proper realm, becomes a moral extension of life's choices. This assignment is not merely about reward or suffering. It reflects the Greek belief that even after death, society and cosmic order require that each soul occupies its rightful place, fixed and final. Hermes, the messenger of the gods and the psychopomp, ensures that souls end up where they've been assigned. His role bridges life, death, and even immortality, as he can travel freely in all realms. While Hermes might occasionally champion the cause of a mortal hero, he generally upholds the judgments passed by Minos, Rhadamanthus, and Aeacus. By escorting the soul to its final place, he cements the verdict and prevents any cosmic overcrowding or misplacement. Charon, the judges, and Hermes operate as an exclusive triadic pattern, a structure that functions by segregating souls into final, mutually exclusive destinations, Elysium, Asphodel, or Tartarus, with no return or blending between them. Charon controls access, ensuring that not all souls even reach judgment. Some are denied passage, left wandering. His toll is a reminder that entry to judgment is not guaranteed. It is earned through preparation, ritual, and societal custom, reflecting the Greek view that the living bear responsibility for ensuring the dead can complete their journey. The judges stand at the system's core, but their task is not to measure potential or weigh redemption. Their deliberation compresses the complexities of a life into a singular result, an irreversible assignment to place. Hermes enforces this finality, escorting each soul to its ordained realm, ensuring that judgment becomes location, and location becomes identity. This triad functions as a closed system of separation, each role preventing the other from collapsing into chaos. Judgment without passage would be useless. Passage without judgment would be directionless. Judgment without enforcement would be mere suggestion. Their unity reveals that the measure of the soul is consequence, the final distillation of a life into an unchanging verdict. Once the soul is placed, its weight is no longer in flux, it has hardened into permanence. The Greeks remind us that while life is filled with choice, death locks those choices into place. The soul is not judged by what it might become, but by what it already is, and once measured, there is no return to the scale. In Norse cosmology, the afterlife is governed not by moral judgments or measured consequences, but by the powerful undercurrent of fate. The concept of weird or destiny, woven by the three Norns, Urda, what has become, Verdandi, what is becoming, and Skuld, what shall be, extends to every realm, including the fates of gods themselves. Within this grand tapestry, Hel and Odin operate as agents who enact destiny rather than override it. Hel, daughter of the trickster god Loki, presides over the realm that shares her name, receiving those who die of sickness, old age, or other unheroic means. She does not judge or punish indiscriminately, she simply keeps the souls allotted to her realm. Her function mirrors the cosmic plan. There is no expectation that souls under her care must prove their worth, or be measured against a standard. In Norse belief, it is simply their lot to remain in Hel's domain, awaiting whatever final unraveling the gods have in store at Ragnarok. In contrast, Odin chooses warriors slain in battle for Valhalla. Yet even this apparently active role is subject to the Norns' overarching design. Odin's selection is not free from destiny, rather, it is an expression of it. He is renowned for his constant quest for wisdom, often seeking to understand or even alter fate, but ultimately he can only move within the boundaries the Norns set. His gathering of warriors is part of a larger cosmic narrative, anticipating Ragnarok, where the chosen heroes will fight on Odin's side in the final cataclysm. Above them all stand the Norns, the true weavers of destiny. They do not decide based on a moral scale, nor do they judge in the manner of Greek or Egyptian gods. They simply enact the threads of existence, weaving past, present, and future into one unbreakable tapestry. Even the gods themselves cannot deviate from the Norns' spinning. In many ways, this removes the emotional dimension of justice or punishment from the afterlife, replacing it with an almost neutral inevitability. Hel, Odin and the Norns form a non-linear triadic pattern, in which their actions are not steps in a process but expressions of the same underlying structure, fate woven into being. Hel's guardianship, Odin's choosing and the Norns' weaving are not sequential but simultaneous. Each is an aspect of the same web of necessity that binds both gods and mortals alike. Hel holds those who die outside of battle, not as punishment, but because the thread of their weird led there from the beginning. Odin's selection of warriors for Valhalla appears active, but his choosing is merely the fulfillment of what was already spun by the Norns. He gathers those whom fate has already marked for him. Above and beneath them, the Norns weave the fabric of past, present, and future as one, binding all outcomes into inevitability. This triad is necessary because custodianship, selection, and weaving are not separate tasks but different perspectives on the same reality, the emergence of a soul's destined place within the pattern. Together they reveal that the measure of the soul is its thread, its place within the web of fate, set before birth and revealed in death. Unlike the Egyptians or Greeks, the Norse offer no test, no weighing, no final verdict. The weight of the soul was determined when it was spun into the loom of existence, and death is merely the unveiling of what always was. This triad warns us that control is an illusion. Our lives unfold along lines already drawn. Yet in recognizing this, we might find a different kind of strength, not in shaping our fate, but but in walking it well. Hindu philosophy presents a vision of life, death, and rebirth shaped by karma, the universal law whereby every action produces consequences that must eventually be resolved. In this cyclical cosmos, Yama, Chitragupta, and Shiva form a triadic approach that ensures each soul follows a journey aligned with the balance of accumulated deeds. Judgment is not final in a Greek sense, nor is it weighed like an Egyptian scale. Rather, it is an ongoing recalibration across multiple incarnations. Yama, often known as the god of death, presides over the realm of departed souls, determining the next stage of one's existence based on the karmic load. He is sometimes portrayed as stern but fair, applying a cosmic rule that is not negotiable. Yama's judgment is far less personal than it might initially seem. He is more akin to an accountant balancing ledgers, ensuring that each action is matched with a fitting reaction, whether that means a higher or lower rebirth, or potential liberation if the karmic account is settled. Chitragupta, as the divine scribe, ensures that every deed, thought, and intention is recorded. The role he plays is critical, as the accuracy of Yama's final pronouncement depends on the total sum of a soul's actions being clearly laid out. In essence, Chitragupta guarantees that the ledger of karma remains meticulous. This precision underscores a key moral dimension. Nothing is overlooked and nothing is forgotten. Every positive or negative act influences the path forward. Shiva, often described as the destroyer or transformer, embodies the force that breaks cycles and bestows the potential for rebirth or liberation. He is not a simple punisher. Rather, Shiva's destruction has a regenerative dimension. In many Hindu traditions, Shiva's dance is seen as both the end of one cycle and the dawn of another. When souls have exhausted or transcended their karma, they can achieve moksha, effectively being freed from the cycle of birth and death. Thus, Shiva represents the cosmic safety valve that allows souls to exit the karmic treadmill when their debts are truly cleared. Yama, Chitragupta, and Shiva represent a combination triadic pattern in which their roles converge and diverge across the cycle of many lives, binding judgment, record, and release into an ever-turning wheel. Yama applies the law of karma, ensuring that each soul's next incarnation corresponds precisely to the weight it carries from its past deeds. Chitragupta makes this possible. His ledger is not a passive record, but an active mechanism, ensuring that no action is lost, no intention forgotten. Without his meticulous account, judgment would collapse into arbitrariness. Yet judgment and record alone would trap the soul in endless recurrence, an unbreakable loop, were it not for Shiva. As the destroyer and transformer, he stands at the edge of the cycle, offering the soul its only release from weight. When karma is finally exhausted, Shiva's presence dissolves the soul's burden, lifting it beyond recurrence into moksha, liberation from the scale altogether. This triad is necessary because judgment without record is blind, record without enforcement is meaningless, and both without release become an eternal prison. Together, they reveal that the measure of the soul is karma, an ever-shifting weight accumulated across lifetimes. Unlike the Greeks, who bind the soul to a fixed consequence, or the Egyptians, who reveal its worth in a single test, the Hindu system leaves the scale in motion. The soul is weighed not once but endlessly, and its burden may rise or fall with every choice, until at last the weight is dissolved and the soul stands free. Though the Egyptians weighed the heart, the Greeks rendered verdicts, the Norse traced fate's threads, and the Hindus tallied karma. All these systems converge on a single enduring insight. The soul is not beyond measure. However varied their answers, they all grapple with the same fundamental question: by what measure is a life truly weighed? Each culture fashions its own scale, but none imagine a world where our choices leave no mark. The Egyptian triad binds the soul to moral harmony. Truth, not power, is the standard. The Greeks offer a final sorting. A soul is sent to its proper place with no further appeal. The Norse surrender to fate's fabric. Life is shaped before we even know it, and we simply fulfill what was spun. The Hindus trace a more intricate path. Actions ripple forward across lifetimes, and liberation waits only for those who resolve the weight of their past. Beneath these differences, a shared principle rises. The universe answers our being. What we do, who we are, how we carry ourselves through this fleeting life, it all matters. Whether judged by scales, decree, thread, or ledger, the soul carries its weight into the beyond. These myths teach that existence is not indifferent. Death is not erasure. It is the moment when the measure is taken. And so these ancient voices speak still, not to frighten us with the spectre of judgment, but to awaken us to the weight we bear with every step. Not the weight of guilt or fear, but the profound reality that life is part of something larger, a rhythm, a pattern, a scale that stretches beyond us. To ask, by what measure is the soul weighed, is to ask, what are we making of ourselves, and what weight will endure when all else falls away?